Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. So I just finished the second book in the A Good Girl's Guide to Murder series just last night, and the ending was really traumatic. Like, why did we have to go through that? So I just finished that last night, so I'm like, I have to start the third book. And I'm like a little bit hesitant because I don't know what to expect. So I thought I'd do a reading vlog just to document my reactions while reading it. The third book is As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson. This reading vlog will have spoilers in it because I am just way too excited to not say anything. So in my opinion, book 2 was much better than book 1. I think because we knew the characters, we knew the town, we had already established different friend groups and the relationship between Pippa and Ravi. It was just much more fleshed out and it was more engaging. To me, it felt like book 1 in the beginning, it was really slow. It took time to build momentum, but in the second half of book 1, that's when all of the little pieces started coming together and we really understood what the mystery was about. But book 2, oh my gosh, it was a page turner for me. Book 2 had everything that I wanted or really was expecting from book 1. What I really liked about book 2, it talked about Pippa's internal feelings of how she was dealing with kind of separating the side of her, but in the end she comes to acceptance, right? She realizes this is part of who she is, this personality, this obsession with wanting to solve murders. I think just seeing that kind of character arc from her was really interesting. Then I've also seen the sentence hey Sarge, remember me. Why does he say that? This is currently 10:27 and I'm gonna read a little bit. Let's see how much I end up reading. All right, let's go. Okay, I just got done with chapter 1. Pip has been pretty much reliving the entire scene. And guess who's here? Max Hastings. I think Pip is going on trial or something for when she spray painted Max's house. So I think that's what's going on right now. It honestly sucks. So I think the book's off to a really good start because after she spray painted his house, I completely forgot about that because there was just so much going on with the story that was such a minor detail at the time. But of course it was gonna come back. It's currently 11:21 and I just got done with chapter 5 and I think I'm gonna stop here for the night. I like where the story is going so far. Basically Pip's just in complete turmoil. She is trying to use other things to kind of cope with what's going on. So she finally decides that she's going to go investigate this Jane Doe case in hopes that it will maybe become a coping mechanism for her. Something to put her focus on. I really like it so far. She is getting anonymous DMs who's gonna look for you once you're gone. Is that what's gonna happen? Is she gonna get kidnapped? I'm just gonna end it here and I'll continue the vlog tomorrow and we'll see where it goes. Okay, so we just finished reading chapter 7 and she gets that email again which says, "Who will look for you when you're the one who disappears? P.S. Remember to always kill 2 birds with 1 stone." And she literally found 2 dead pigeons outside of her house. Of course it can't be a coincidence. Things are getting pretty exciting. I'm happy about that because for now we've just been dealing with Max Hastings and basically her internal trauma with everything that's going on. She can't forget about Stanley and that's understandable. That is such a huge thing to go through. Now she just has to live with that basically for the rest of her life. I'm excited because this is the part where in the books where it all starts catching up again, and yeah, I like that. We've already built momentum and we need to continue on from here. I'm a fire and I'll keep your brittle heart warm. If your cascade ocean wave goes from all these people think love's for sure, but I would love me on secret. The devil's in the details, but you got a friend in me. Would it be enough if I could never give you peace? So the time is 10:42 and I thought I'd just read a little bit before going to bed. Right now we know that she has 3 threats: 2 dead pigeons, the online threats, and the 5 chalk figurines drawn on her driveway. But the thing I'm not really sure about is why are there 5 figurines specifically? Are they supposed to represent her friend group? Because then I'm thinking, oh, it's going to be Pip, Kara, Ravi, who else? Connor, and then who's the 5th person? Jamie? I don't know, he's not that important. He's not part of the core group. Maybe Naomi? Literally could be anyone. I just went through her list. There is no one in that list that I think is actually going to be her stalker. There has to be someone else that is so close to her that she doesn't even put on her stalker list, because that's how good of a game they're playing. Let's read more. Okay, so we just learned about the DT killer, short for the duct tape killer. Guess what's on the cover? Oh yeah, duct tape. And now it makes much more sense. Those 5 chalk figurines, that's because he has already committed 5 murders. He just said that the killer has actually been in prison this whole time. Another thing is that this killer, he committed these murders from places that he was not a part of. That gives more evidence that maybe he's from Little Kilton himself. So I thought I should just do my makeup while I talk about how far I am in the book. Anyways, where am I? I'm definitely the person that ends up putting concealer everywhere. But yeah, I just finished reading the part where Pip is just kidnapped. She got the call from DT, she answers it, she puts it in the app, and she sees the phone number, and right then and there she's kidnapped. And that's where I went up to last night. And I am so excited to keep reading. And now we also know that everything is connected back to Jason Bell. And the fact that Andy even talked to HH, I forgot her full name, Harriet Hunter. Yeah, the sister of one of the murder victims. Like, this is all definitely connected. And I do believe that Andy could still very much be alive. But it's so suspicious why she also ended up dying at the same day that the very last victim was found dead. Also, I love the Rare Beauty blush in Happy. It's probably the best shade. This is like the perfect pink. You know what I was also thinking about? Pip is gonna be like completely duct taped, right? Her face too. So majority of the mystery is going to be finding out who's the actual person that abducted her. What if they're using like a voice changer so she can't figure out who they are? So we know that the DT killer is still a misogynistic person, and that person lives in Little Kilton, so at least that part of the theory was right. You know what? Daniel, I'll say it, Daniel is shady. He has a bigger role to play. It can't just be that he suddenly was working in the company and then he transitioned into being a police officer and that was that. And it was also mentioned that he was really interested in this case. So maybe Daniel is aware of who DT Killer actually is. Maybe he's the one helping him too. But overall, I think the series is really well written. Like, I'm really impressed because to connect something from all the way book 1 to book 3, sure, she wrote it, but she had to plan this whole mystery herself. And I think it's really good that this series was a trilogy too. There's just something about trilogies, takes me back to middle school. Probably the first ever trilogy, first ever dystopia that I ever read was The Hunger Games. And there's so many other trilogies that I want to read, or like other series. The Cruel Prince series, I want to read that. I want to read Caraval. Dance of Thieves, I want to read that. I have a Notion template where I pretty much have the status of all the books that I'm reading. So there's 3 statuses: finished reading, currently reading, and TBR. I keep adding books to my TBR, but then when it comes to picking out something to read, it's something completely different, not even from there. I'm not even going out anywhere. I'm just doing my makeup for fun. I'm honestly gonna miss this series a lot when it's done. I know there's like a novella that happens, it's called Killjoy, right? It happens before Pip even meets Ravi, so I'll probably read that too. I've seen TikToks. I feel like I'm always talking about the TikToks I've seen about this. Honestly, it's because of that one filter that I started reading this book. I got this book to read and I'm like, alright. And thank you, TikTok, for making me read this book. Hopefully the ending does not break me, because I am scared. Okay, that's the finished makeup, and I'm gonna go read some more. And we just found out that DT Killer is Jason Bell. Honestly, it makes sense though, because everything was linking up to his company. He said, "This is where they all were, where they died. But Tara, she somehow managed to break free of the tape on her wrist when I left her, was moving around and set off the alarm." Andy knew that the person, her own father, was DT Killer. So it's been more than a week that I ended up finishing the book. I finished it all in one sitting basically that entire night and stayed up till almost 3 a.m. And I think I just needed to sit with the book because there's a lot of thoughts going on in my head around this. So I have my iPad here and I'm just going to be going through like my thoughts around the book, what I thought of all the different plot points. First and foremost, this book was definitely the darkest out of the entire trilogy. Pippa is dealing with a lot of trauma that she went through from book 2, and this book basically shows the aftermath of it. I did have a feeling she was already going to be covering up a murder thanks to TikTok spoilers, but I did not know that she was the one who was going to be actually committing it. Also, for some reason, DT killer being Jason Bell felt kind of anticlimactic for me. I expected more of a twist than it just to be Jason Bell, because I know that everything was leading up to his company, but I thought that it would be someone else. I was also expecting more mystery. Like, all we really got was the 2 dead pigeons, the chalkboard figurines that were drawn, the no caller ID phone calls, and that was it. I think I wanted more of a deep dive into the case from Pippa. Like, I wanted her to investigate it more, but I also understand that there was only a week that she had, so she had to figure it out all in that time. So once I crossed the 50% mark in the book, my heart was beating so fast, because the entire time I had no idea what to expect. So first there was her trying to escape the duct tape, her calling Ravi over, the whole plan with creating alibis. Like, I just had a feeling that something was gonna go wrong. Everything was going way too perfectly that I was like, there has to be something that she forgets, something that messes up. And then there it was, the headphones. When I saw that, I had to put the book down for a second and just sit there in silence, because that was it. I thought she was gonna get caught, and that's where the book is gonna end. One thing that kind of irked me was how eager and how quickly on board Ravi was to help her cover up the crime, and to be on board with framing Max for it. I thought it was quite different to how he was, because his own brother was framed for a crime that he didn't commit. I thought Ravi would try to reason with Pippa and try to explain to her that it's important that Max gets put in jail for something he did actually do. But I also understand that he was found not guilty for the crime that he committed. I think the story started centering around how they completely had their belief eradicated in the justice system, and they wanted to take matters in their own hands, quite literally. So then once Pip and Ravi went away to go secure their alibi, I for sure thought that something was gonna go wrong here. I thought either Max would catch Pippa and not let her go out of the house. Another thing I was thinking of was that when Pip and Ravi came back after securing their alibi, the car with Jason Bell's body would be gone. That should have happened. That would have been so exciting if that did, because then it would unfold into a new mystery of like, okay, where's the body? So if you didn't know, the book series is being turned into a TV show, and I'm really excited if it goes up to this point in the story, because I really liked how Pip was talking to Ravi while she was duct taped and working throughout that part I could fully imagine in my head, and that would be really cool to see in an actual TV show. In general, I think this would be a really good scene to play out, because you can have Ravi actually be in the scene. TikTok already spoiled me about the "Hey, sorry, remember me" sentence at the end. So when Max slammed Pip against the wall and she had a head injury, I thought she was gonna have amnesia. I thought she would forget everything. And that would also technically make sense, because she was battling with this, inner identity of herself and all that she's done, solving crimes, working with the justice system. So she would forget everything from meeting Ravi to her podcast to solving these murder mysteries, literally anything that she accomplished. When that happened, I thought that it was an interesting parallel to Andy, because she also suffered from a head injury. So in that sense, I thought this would kind of be like the death of Pippa Fitz-Amobi, the identity that she had created for herself. And then when she released the trailer for season 3 of her podcast, I feel like it was a bit too direct. She was directly pretty much pointing the fingers at Max, and she was pretty much doing the same thing as what D.I. Hawkins said, that another person will be too involved in the case. A part of me is definitely left wondering what would happen if Pip had just decided to run away, because I thought in the moment if she did run away, she would just do the same move as Stanley and just capture Jason Bell until she figured out what to do with him. And then, after being so close to her friends and family, she completely shuts them out, and even shuts out Ravi. Like, he was completely heartbroken, but at the same time, he understood why this was happening. Overall, I still definitely like the book and the entire series. Like, I'm so glad I read it. Personally, I would rate this book 4 stars. I thought it was really well executed. I don't think she would have pulled this off by herself, and she needed the help from Ravi and from her friends. And because of these events, it's like no matter what, her and her friend groups and the people she knows in the town will always be connected. And yeah, that's all for this reading vlog. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you've read the book or already know what happens, let me know what you guys thought of it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!